Welcome back to La La Land on CRN Digital Talk. I am Brett Chapin, and we're talking with the very talented Los Angeles artists, Brett Ryback and Daniel Franzese. If you have any questions for either one of them, go ahead and give us a call at 1-800-336-2225. And Brett, you got a pretty big event coming up here on November 14th. Tell us about it.
So I write for this blog, crazytownblog.com, and we have decided to do a live version of the blog at Joe's Pub on November 14th, Monday, November 14th. And so if you're in New York, by chance, come check it out. And it's essentially, it's like we've taken a lot of the postings from all of the members that contribute, and we've gotten a bunch of Broadway actors together to perform them, either as scenes, monologues, comedy skits. There's a lot of media, like visual media that's going to be incorporated, and some songs as well.
That's great. So it's kind of like a variety cabaret kind of thing.
Exactly. We've never heard of anything like this before, that like a blog being performed live. We kind of wanted like the Huffington Post on stage. Like that's sort of what we're envisioning. So however that envisions in your mind, that's probably what it's going to look like.
That's a crazy idea. That's like something unusual, you know, something you don't see every day. That's
great.
We're
hoping that we're hoping it goes off well.
Yeah, I'm sure it will.
So we can do it again.
And people can find out information about that at crazytownblog.com?
That's correct, yeah.
Guys, if you're in New York on November 14th, check it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you work in New York, you work on the West Coast. What are some of the differences and similarities of working on the West Coast versus the East Coast?
You know, I think, to be honest, the biggest difference is that I've noticed is just the culture around theater. You know, that the West Coast has obviously a very film-centric idea of what's important, I suppose, and the East Coast, you know, just there's just a lot more theater centric stuff happening there, and so you're dealing with you know, in New York, it's like the amount of people that can, you know, do a time step on a dime is just amazing, and like Belton E or whatever. That, you know, you come across a lot of that, and then in you know, in LA that's less so. And so for somebody that's writing musical theater, it's really important to me that I've realized in like the last year and a half that I really want to cultivate a community of friends and artists that I've worked with, Leslie, you know, being one of them, for example, of just really great musical theater people here, because I feel like, you know, which is true to the geography of the town, is we're kind of all over the place. There's no like central place that those kinds of artists that are really great go to. And so yeah, but I think that's the biggest difference, is just it's theater versus film.
Yeah, everything's so spread out here in LA. As an artist, if you're going to auditions, sometimes you're going, you know, 60 miles, 70 miles or more.
And you don't see the same, you know. It's amazing when you're in New York, the amount of times you can bump into somebody randomly on the subway.
Yeah.
That you know, and you know, and that to me doesn't tend to happen a lot in LA. I feel like you're in your car for so much of your life, and you just miss people. And so it's really great when you can find and cultivate a community.
Absolutely. And you know, as far as you're talking about how theater is a little bit more, it's a little bit bigger in New York, and we've talked a little bit on the show about how theater gets, I don't know if respect is the right word, but it's a little less known here in LA, because LA is film town, New York's a theater town. What do you think LA can do to kind of improve its reputation with theater?
You know, I think that's a really tough question. I've always thought that, or not thought, but I've always wished that LA had more mid-sized theaters, because there's sort of you've got the massive, you know, CTG, Geffen, South Coast Rep, even La Mirada. Well, La Mirada is sort of a mid-sized theater. I think if there were more spaces like that,
all the old movie houses are like 1,000 seats.
Right.
More.
Yeah.
Every time I look into trying to get into some kind of creative space to do a show, you're either there's like very few 99, and they all have their reputations already.
Right.
And then it goes to bam to like 500, and then after that it's 1,000 plus.
Yeah.
Because all the old movie houses have too many seats.
Right.
And that's why they're all like flea markets.
And I think I just think that that way you can increase the sort of level of quality, but you don't have to worry so much about the amount of getting people into, to support, to fill spaces that are just so big.
It'd be nice too if some of those mid-sized ones and the 99-seat ones got a little bit more exposure from the mainstream press. I think that would help a lot as well.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I had more of experience about that, because I know that is one of the biggest issues that LA theaters deal with.
Yeah.
I always thought that the smaller spaces should join up, like get together and like, hey, you've got this, I've got this, and then turn into a mid-sized space. But I don't know, maybe people are too territorial.
I think the LA Stage Alliance might be working on a task force to do that.
I think,
So,
oh, that'd be great. That'd be great.
We'll be right back on La La Land on CRN Digital Talk.
Who's watching your home when you're not?